Max Nation! I'm Unger to the Max, coming at you with today's episode of the Sports Room Talk Show. A salute to you. Now, before we get going, if you haven't done so already, make sure you punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter, hit the like button with the Judas Effect courtesy of Chris Jericho, and deliver a curb stomp to the notification bell courtesy of Seth freaking Rollins. So, from what I've heard, the target date is May 11th for the NFL to release the 2023 schedule. So, we've known the opponents for a while. So, for the Cleveland Browns, that means they will face all three of their division opponents, the Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals, and Pittsburgh Steelers, all four AFC South teams, at the Indianapolis Colts, at the Houston Texans, host the Jacksonville Jaguars, host the Tennessee Titans. They'll face the NFC West, which means they'll be at the Seattle Seahawks, at the Los Angeles Rams, host the San Francisco 49ers, and host the Arizona Cardinals. Then they will host the New York Jets because the Browns and Jets both finished in last place in their respective divisions. The Browns in the AFC North, the Jets in the AFC East. And then the Browns will be at the Denver Broncos because, again, the Broncos finished in last place in the AFC West. And then for the 17th game, the Browns will host Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears because, again, the Bears finished in last place in the NFC North. So, let me say this. Of all four AFC South games, the most intriguing one is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And here's why. The Jaguars made the playoffs last season. They won the AFC South. And they made a ridiculous comeback to beat the Los Angeles Chargers, which, how Brandon Staley still has a job after that, I have no fucking idea. If it were me, I would have fired his ass. He wouldn't have even gotten a day after that. Actually, no. I would have let him go back to the hotel and sleep. And then the next day, when he came into the office or whatever, I would have said, yep, you're done, Brandon Staley. Bye. But, hey, I'm not the Chargers. But anyway, so the Jaguars did that. And then they took the Kansas City Chiefs right to the limit in the AFC divisional round. That sounds familiar. Oh, right, that's because the Cleveland Browns did the same thing back in 2021. I believe it was. Yeah, 2021. Anyway, so the Jaguars are an up-and-coming team. They want to prove that last season was not a fluke. And they want to prove that, yes, they are a contender. So, and the Browns want to prove the same thing, that they're a contender, that they can be a playoff team, that with Deshaun Watson in town, they actually know what the heck they're doing, which I don't believe that for a minute. Partially because they traded for Deshaun Watson, but we need to get rid of Baker Mayfield. That's a whole ordeal. I'm not going to get into all of that because I just don't want to. Not something I really want to touch. But anyway, so I feel like the final 6 games that Deshaun Watson was in for last season, Houston, Baltimore, New Orleans, Cincinnati, Washington, Pittsburgh. I know that wasn't the exact order, but just go with me on that. It was too small of a sample size. Whereas we saw what Trevor Lawrence is with Doug Peterson as his head coach. And I think that when these two teams play, it could have major playoff implications. We've seen matchups in the past, not necessarily with the Browns and Jaguars, but like with the Steelers and Patriots, for example, where it's if the Steelers win, then the Patriots are knocked out of the playoffs. Usually it's the other way, where like if the Patriots win, then it's the Steelers knocked out, or if the Steelers win, then the Browns are eliminated from playoff contention, or if the Patriots win, then the Dolphins are eliminated blah, 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 blah. We've had games like that. I think there could be some type of playoff implications on the line when the Browns and Jaguars meet. So if it were me making the schedule, I would put the Jaguars Browns game late in the season, in that week 13 to week 15 range. Um, and I would actually consider putting that game on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. Um, I think that the Browns will probably have 3 primetime games at most. And I think those 3 primetime games will be, I'm going to say, one will be home against the New York Jets because Deshaun Watson against Aaron Rodgers. I think the NFL will want that game in prime time. I'm going to say Sunday Night Football. The second one, I'm going to say, I'm going to say at Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football, which I hate Thursday Night Football. The NFL needs to get rid of it, but they're not going to anytime soon. So I'll just say Browns at Bengals is going to be Thursday Night Football. And then for the Monday night game, because I think the Browns will have one of each, one Sunday night, which is hosting the Jets, one Thursday night at Cincinnati, and then the Monday night game will be, let's see, the Monday night game will be, ooh, this is a hard one. I'm just going to pick a random one. I'm going to say the Monday night game is at Indianapolis. No. I'll say the Monday night game is at Baltimore. Okay? So those are my primetime predictions for the Browns. Sunday night football, home against the Jets. Monday night football at the Ravens. Thursday night football at the Bengals. So, yeah. I'm also going to make a prediction and say that week 1, we will be at the Indianapolis Colts. So the Browns will be the opponent for what should be Anthony Richardson's debut. And then for week 2, I'm going to say the Browns will host Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. I am locking that in. I am not changing. So week 1 at the Colts. Week 2, home against the Bears. I am going to say the game against the Jaguars is week 14. I'm going to say, I think the NFL will do the Browns a little bit of a favor and make the at Rams, at Seahawks game back to back. I'm hoping that I'm able to actually fly out to Seattle and get to that Browns-Seahawks game. That would be freaking amazing. Shout out to Norbcam, big Seattle Seahawks fan. He and I did a video collaboration back in 2019, the last time the Browns and Seahawks played each other. I will post a link to that video in the description of this video. I'm planning on doing a video collaboration with him again. Speaking of which, I am once again planning on doing a video collaboration for every game on the Cleveland Browns schedule. Haven't been able to accomplish that goal yet because I've just had other things get in the way, like medical situations and family emergencies and whatnot. But I'm going to try and make it happen this season. So, we'll see. But we'll see. You just never know. So, but as long as I'm doing these video collaborations, it's all good. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. So, like I said earlier, the NFL is targeting May 11th as the day that they're going to release the schedule. I am looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think there's some type of conspiracy here. Because think about this. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Then they hosted the NFL Draft. And then they get to host the season opening game. On top of all of that, they get to host the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills, and the Miami Dolphins, all at Arrowhead Stadium. The only really tough game for the Chiefs on the road is at the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's it. So the question becomes, for the season opener, who are the Chiefs going to host? I think it comes down to two teams, either the Philadelphia Eagles in a Super Bowl 57 rematch or the Cincinnati Bengals in an AFC Championship rematch. So the NFL has done this before where they do the immediate rematch of the Super Bowl in the season opening game because the Carolina Panthers and Denver Broncos played each other in Super Bowl 50, and then to open the 2016 season, the Broncos hosted the Panthers. So I could see the NFL doing that where they have the Chiefs host the Eagles to open the 2023 season. Um, but do I think that's what's going to happen? It's a tough question. I'm going to say yes. I think the NFL does go with Eagles Chiefs to open the season. I think the NFL will also put Bengals Chiefs later in the season like they typically do because that game usually has some type of playoff implications. It's hard to say with the Bills and Dolphins. They'll probably put Dolphins Chiefs in prime time just because it's Tyreek Hill's return to Kansas City and we think the Dolphins are perennial AFC contenders. At least the rest of the NFL world does. I'm not fully convinced that the Dolphins are like playoff contenders. Yes, they have Tyreek Hill. Yes, they have Jalen Waddle. I like their run game. They've definitely improved their defense with Jalen Ramsey, and they made some nice defensive moves last year. But I just don't trust Tua Tagovailoa to stay healthy. I think Miami in this year's draft should have drafted a quarterback. Granted, they didn't have many picks to work with, so they probably couldn't afford to trade up and down and put themselves in a position to draft a quarterback. But if I'm the Dolphins, if Tua continues to be injury prone, I'm drafting a quarterback next year. Granted, I think the Dolphins made the wrong decision even drafting Tua in the first place. I didn't fully trust Tua at Alabama. Yes, he came in and helped Alabama win that national championship against Georgia. But other than that, I never fully believed in Tua. I will say that Alabama's comeback in the national championship, I think that was more of a Georgia collapse than an Alabama win. But you could make an argument either way on that one because you got to give Nick Saban credit for having the guts to switch from Jalen Hurts to Tua Tagovailoa. And, Tua went out and made the plays. What can you say? But still, I would still, even with all that, I would still say that was more of an Alabama collapse. But that's going to do it for today's episode of the Sports Room Talk Show. You got 2 for 1 because I just uploaded another video talking about Game 1 between the Los Angeles Lakers and Golden State Warriors. So go watch that one. But in the meantime, if you haven't done so, make sure you punch that subscribe button like a UFC player, hit the like button with the Judas effect courtesy of Chris Jericho, and deliver a curb stomp to the notification bell courtesy of Seth freaking Rollins. Once again, I am predicting that the Browns' Week 1 game will be at the Indianapolis Colts. Week 2 will be at Week 1 will be at the Indianapolis Colts. Week 2 will be home against the Chicago Bears. They will host the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 14. And their 3 primetime games will be at the Baltimore Ravens, at the Cincinnati Bengals, and home against the New York Jets.